I want to reflect for a moment on the future. In all honesty, I hope that President Trump is able to weed out all of the illegitimate ballots sponsored by the Democrat malfeasance. They've tainted, really, this election. Quite honestly, I don't know how successful he and the GOP will be. But I wanted to let our political enemies know that I have observed their behavior for over 20 years. And at this point, I'm eager to begin dishing out a little bit of what we conservatives have been taking. If Beijing Biden succeeds in stealing this election, he will be an illegitimate president. That's what we're declaring in tonight's preamble. Unlike liberals in and out of the press, I will not be calling for, trying to cover up for, or tacitly approving of violence in our streets. We conservatives are a cut above the violent Biden supporters who have been burning, looting, beating, and killing their way through our streets for the past 6 months. We are real Americans, after all. But I will not surrender my country, my state, or my community to the likes of Beijing Biden and his merry band of Marxists without opposing them at every turn. There is precedent for this. We need only look back over the past couple of decades to find that precedent. After George W. Bush won the 2000 election, many Democrats claimed that he was an illegitimate president. It was a slur they used his entire 8 years in office. So much was their disdain and disrespect for Bush. Civil rights icon John Lewis, along with many other Democrats, boycotted Bush's inauguration. Democrats escalated their inaccurate and slanderous attacks on Mr. Bush by repeatedly calling him a Nazi, from Cindy Shaheen to Al Gore, from Keith Ellison, ironically, to the former Democrat Klansman Robert KKK Byrd. They called Bush a brown shirt in an effort to delegitimize his presidency. After President Trump's historic victory over Hillary Clinton, the loser repeatedly branded the current president illegitimate and even claimed the race was stolen from her. But it's not just in presidential politics. In almost every instance, when Democrats and their anti-American policies are rejected, they decry the election or the process as illegitimate. Stacey Abrams, for example, was defeated soundly by 55,000 votes in Georgia by Governor Brian Kemp. To this day, she and other leftists claim the race was stolen from her. They do this to delegitimize Kemp's administration, of course. Not even the Constitution is safe from Democrat socialists and their baseless attacks. The Speaker of the House, petulant Pelosi, claimed Justice Amy Coney Barrett was an illegitimate Supreme Court justice during an Election Day press call. Justice Barrett was nominated by a duly elected president, was confirmed by a duly elected majority in the Senate, and was seated on the High Court in perfect alignment with the U.S. Constitution. Justice Barrett, a Catholic and scholar, a mother of 7, she deserves praise and support, but instead she gets her name defiled by the likes of slimy Nancy Pelosi, a woman whose negatives are even higher than President Trump in the RCP average. So what do I, as a conservative or any other Republican out there, owe Democrats? In my experience, respect is earned. And there is nothing in Joe Biden's public life, and certainly not in his private life, that requires any respect from any American who has a conscience. Democrats, along with their disgraceful cohorts in the press, they have made opposing and defeating them a crime, punishable by a declaration of illegitimacy. I think it's high time American patriots return that favor. If this country is cursed with Obama's 3rd term, it will be every American's duty to oppose that term with all of their might. It is laudable and necessary, in my opinion, to oppose socialism, to oppose your loss of rights, to oppose the United States government being turned into Mr. Biden's own personal piggy bank, to oppose your government being run out of foreign capitals like Moscow and Beijing. A Biden occupation of the Oval Office will be illegitimate for all those reasons, and simply because we don't like him or his leftist cronies. And that's really all the justification we need. The Democrat socialists, they showed us the way.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.